The Big Guy, How a President and His Son Sold Out America. It's a brand new book out this week. Miranda Devine, national best-selling author. Remember her from Laptop from Hell. She is joining me now on the Scott Sand Show. Miranda, it's great to have you back on.
Oh, thanks for having me, Scott. Great to be with you.
You have been working on this book now for like 3 or 4 years. I think you started working on this right after Laptop from Hell came out.
Well, pretty much. I mean, I had no intention of writing a sequel to Laptop from Hell, which was about sort of Biden family corruption. But the cover-up was just so egregious, starting with the New York Post being censored immediately after we published the first of our stories from the laptop. And then, you know, the more I dug into it, the more nefarious it was. And we ended up, you know, the CIA, the FBI, the State Department, and the Department of Justice, the IRS, they were all conspiring to protect Joe Biden and his crack addict son, Hunter Biden, and his sort of layabout brother, Jim Biden. And so, I mean, the story, these people the sort of unelected cabal who protected Joe Biden are the same ones who are propping up Kamala Harris right now and doing their utmost, as they did back in 2020, to prevent Donald Trump from winning the election and getting back into the White House. So I thought it was an important story, and I needed to dig into it and publish it.
It's one of the most important stories of this decade, and we still don't, despite even your investigative research, we're starting to see the evidence being tied together, but we don't even know that how big this mountain is or could be. And it's insulting when you see hundreds of these so-called intelligence officials who have said, what you're doing, Miranda, is Russian disinformation. It's all propaganda. It's all lies. And then, well, okay, maybe some of it's true. And look, Hunter was a drug addict, and he's turned his life around. These were mistakes that he made. But then, well, what about your brother? What about your family that's being paid these thousands of dollars, Joe? And we're starting to see how the story that we've been told by Joe Biden and the people around him doesn't really all add up.
No, it doesn't. And, you know, the very countries that the Biden family were getting millions of dollars from during Joe Biden's vice presidency are, you know, we now are in this proxy war with Russia. Well, money came from Russia. Over Ukraine, money came from Ukraine. China, which is widely regarded as, you know, our biggest adversary, is increasingly aggressive in the Indo-Pacific. And it just seems like we're supposed to accept that that's not the real problem. The real problem is Russia. And Joe Biden has been a puppet of this sort of unaccountable cabal, the blob, as the Obama people used to call them, the sort of combination of the CIA, the State Department, and the Pentagon. And they have an agenda that they haven't shared with the American people, that Joe Biden has carried out like a good puppet, and that, of course, Kamala Harris will do the same. And we've seen the results. The results are disaster. You know, the world is on fire. The reason that this cabal hates Donald Trump is because he's uncontrollable. When he was president, he just didn't follow their agenda. He just did what he always does. He used common sense and followed first principles and just dealt with every problem in foreign policy the way he did with domestic policy. And as a result, we saw potentially peace lasting in the Middle East with the Abraham Accords. We saw Iran on its knees, completely broke, unable to fund its proxies to attack Israel as they did in October 7 last year. We saw Kim Jong-un in North Korea in its box. We saw Vladimir Putin in his box. He wasn't invading Ukraine under Donald Trump, but he did so under Biden, and he also was doing it under Obama. So whatever Donald Trump, his approach was much more beneficial to the American people and to our national security than anything that this blob, the unaccountable puppet masters, the controllers of presidents. And that's what they expect. They want to control the president, and they regard Donald Trump, yes, as an existential threat, but not as they lie to us and as their puppet media lies to us because he's an existential threat to America or to democracy. He's an existential threat to their power.
To the deep state, to the bureaucracy that's secretly been controlling this country. Miranda Devine here on the Scott Sands Show. The book is The Big Guy, How a President and His Son Sold Out America. I look at this somewhat skeptically, cynically, perhaps, Miranda, in that I believe every politician is conducting these sketchy, shady business deals and profiteering from being in office. Whether it be Nancy Pelosi and insider stock trading, Donald Trump and the Trump family were taking foreign money during his presidency, and even some of the Trump foundations were taking money from foreigners during the presidency as a way to get close to the president. I believe all of that happened, but they're being prosecuted for it. When something with Trump comes up, they stick the lawyers after him, and they file criminal complaints against the Trump family. Joe Biden has completely avoided any sort of legal hassles. Even the top secret classified documents he was caught with in the garage at home, he was not treated the same way as Donald Trump. Why is Joe Biden getting a free pass? Why is the Biden family getting a free pass when the Trump family is spending 20 out of 24 hours a day in a courtroom somewhere?
Well, for that exact reason that I was saying, that Joe Biden is their creature. He's the creature of the blob, so he's protected. Donald Trump is a threat to their power, so they use lawfare to go after him. And, honestly, I don't think that you can possibly equate Donald Trump's behavior in office with Joe Biden's when he was vice president. Donald Trump actually lost money. He gave his salary to charity. I'm not defending what his son-in-law Jared Kushner did in creating that fund after he left office. I don't think anybody who's been in government should be able to do that. There should be a cooling off period at least. But and I totally agree with you that on both sides of the aisle, whether it be Republican or Democrat, there's a long tradition of corruption and just self-dealing in Washington. And that includes, as you say, Nancy Pelosi and many others on both sides of the aisle enriching themselves in the stock market because they have insider information. There are no ethical standards in Washington, D.C. like there are in private practice. I was talking to someone, a banker last night. He said, if he accepts a $50, like a meal or something, paid for by a foreigner.
I got to fill out paperwork.
He has to declare that.
Sometimes I got to make the request. If I'm going out to dinner with a record guy, I got to fill out a request for it in advance, and then
sign
a receipt. It's but not for the politicians and the lobbyists who are in control. Miranda Devine, The Big Guy, How a President and His Son Sold Out America. In your book, which I've just got, haven't had a chance to dive into. Were you able to track down numbers? Do you have any idea how big this fraud, this scam that the Biden family has conducted for years, how much money they've actually been able to generate?
Yeah, look, it's actually quite small beer. You're talking about tens of millions of dollars. I think James Comer came up with about $25 million from China. It's not huge amounts of money. For selling out the country, it's actually cheap. And that's, I guess, completely egregious. But Joe Biden's been kind of like a small-time Tammany Hall guy from Delaware since the beginning of his Senate career. And, he calls himself the poorest man in Congress, but he lives large. He lives a caviar lifestyle. He has a mansion on a lake, custom built. He's lived in DuPont mansions. All his children, his grandchildren, they live like, a billionaire lifestyle. So you don't do that on a senator's salary.
No. Were you concerned in writing this follow-up book and writing The Big Guy? Because first of all, you took a lot of criticism. You were shamed and blocked when Laptop from Hell came out. The deep state, there are allegations that they're the ones trying to eliminate Donald Trump in these 2 assassination attempts. If you want to buy into those conspiracy theories, obviously the deep state is there to protect itself. Were you concerned about your personal reputation and personal safety in writing a follow-up like The Big Guy?
Not really, because I've been doing this a long time, and I've tackled very difficult subjects before, and so I'm well versed in the sort of operational security. I worked for a very large and strong company that has my back and is very good with security. But in terms of reputation, I don't care. Like, I knew what we were doing was right and true, and we've been vindicated at every step of the way. The dirty 51 intelligence officials who lied and said the laptop was Russian disinformation. Well, I was sitting in court in June in Delaware, and I watched the prosecutors pick up that laptop that Hunter Biden abandoned in Delaware at the laptop repair shop. I watched them pick it up. It's evidence. It had an evidence number, and the prosecutor brought it over, brandished it in front of the jury, walked over to the witness stand, showed it to the FBI person there who confirmed, yes, this is Hunter Biden's laptop. We verified that. We verified that there was no tampering with the laptop. The information is all intact, and we deemed it very early on. In early of 2020, FBI had it from December 2019. We deemed it to be suitable to be used in a court of law as evidence. So, I don't know how much more vindicated you can get than that. And there's nothing that we've published that has ever been proven to be wrong. And if there were, I did make one small mistake about the location of a hotel that Hunter Biden was in LA. It wasn't the Chateau Marmont. He'd moved to another hotel. So I corrected that immediately in the paper. There's been my colleague Emma Jo Morris has written reams about this, and she has never had any facts, overturned. And the New York Post is a mainstream paper. It's the oldest continuously published paper in the country, fourth largest by circulation. I'm telling you, our editors are incredibly rigorous, and they put us through the mill on getting this story up. And great, kudos to them for having the courage to do it when many others wouldn't. But it's been, the due diligence has been done. And so I think that the proof of the pudding is just in the reading. You can go through it all with a fine-tooth comb.
Miranda, I think that's one of the best points to make, is that if there were lies and unsubstantiated allegations in the Big Guy or in Laptop from Hell, the Bidens would have taken legal action and they would have owned the New York Post right now. But they can't. And along the way, people, including in the intelligence agency, will say it's Russian disinformation. But we come to find out you're proven right time and time again.
That's right, exactly. And, Russian disinformation is the excuse that they use all the time. I mean, it's getting old.
Well, that's the excuse I use whenever a girl I'm dating has accused me of something. Honey, that's just Russian disinformation. That's just propaganda. You're buying into the lies. Does
it work?
It's alternative facts. No,
I don't think so.
That's why I'm still single, I think.
Maybe try something else.
Right.
Chinese disinformation.
Right.
Iranian. Yeah.
Miranda, you're terrific. You do amazing work, and you're a terrific writer. And this book is a book that needs to be out there. And certainly, when you were writing this, we thought Joe Biden would be the Democrat candidate again. But I think it also says a lot about both the Biden-Harris administration and his long history in D.C. It's an important historical look at the Biden family and their 50 years in American politics. The Big Guy, how our president and his son sold out America. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I wrote it fully expecting that Joe Biden would not be president.
Really?
By the time it was published. Yeah, but I was sort of surprised he hung on so long. But it's basically about the cabal, the deep state that protected him and is still protecting Kamala Harris. They will survive unless they are cleaned out and exposed. So I think it'll be a very difficult matter. But we cannot have these unaccountable, unelected people whose names we don't know controlling what happens with this country and taking us into war.
I don't know that I buy into a lot of conspiracy theories, Miranda, but there is a bureaucracy there that is there to protect themselves and their jobs and their influence and power. And if Donald Trump is reelected, and I hope he is, he'll have to fight that bureaucracy and that deep state the entire way.
Yes, and he will, and whereas Kamala Harris will not, because she's their creature. And look, I agree with you. I think there are a lot of rabbit holes you can stumble down, and conspiracy theories, they drive me crazy. But what I've tried to do always with my reporting is just stick to facts. And, I don't really in the book draw conclusions, but I just present the evidence as it comes up. Some of it doesn't fit together. Some of it does. Maybe maybe smarter people than me will figure it out when they read it all. But I thought it was better to lay it out and let people look at it and figure it out and see what there is. And the evidence itself that we have that's been basically gathered by whistleblowers and also the Republicans in the House in their various investigations. It's pretty compelling, and I think it does tell a story, but it's really up to others to figure out what that story is.
Miranda, I know you're super busy. Congratulations on the new book. Everybody should get this, The Big Guy, How a President and His Son Sold Out America. I love having you on. I appreciate your time. Follow Miranda on social media as well, at Miranda Devine. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Scott. Bye-bye.